Welcome to Ruins Rebuilt Revival Ministries. My name is Tatiana. So today I just want to talk a little bit about my testimony. Um, so, um, Starting with my childhood. So, for a very long time, I've been dealing with that the Lord has already, delivered me and healed me from. But I have dealt with a lot of perversion in my life due to being molested and essayed as a child, right? And so this was done by a family friend and also a family member, right? And so for a long time, I've been was addicted to pornography. And over time, since I was little, things just progressively got worse in that area for me in particular. Um, and so for a long time, I didn't know who exactly did it to me for a long time. It was only recently revealed to me who the perpetrators were. And it was just through healing and deliverance and the Lord taking me on a journey where He revealed to me who did these things to me when I was a child, right? And so, yeah, like I said, I've dealt with a lot of perversion, especially watching pornography. And because of the close relation of the people that harmed me, it led me into, pornography that dealt with a lot of incest. So, incest pornography was one of the things that I engaged in watching. And for a long time, I was, a masturbator since I was a child. So a lot of these things kept me bound for a really, 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 really long time until the Lord came in and healed and delivered me, right? And my life was basically for a long time, it was my identity, like living in this perversion, living in this mindset of just being a slave, somebody's sex slave, right? I dealt with a lot of rage growing up. And I didn't necessarily take out anything on anybody, but everything that I went through was turned inwardly, right? So I dealt with a lot of inward rage towards myself um, because my whole life I didn't have any control over anything. Like everything seemed to be just happening to me, and I was never in a position to have authority or power over anything. And so I dealt with a lot of helplessness and hopelessness, PTSD and personality disorders because of what took place when I was a child. And for so long, those type of things were normalized to me, right? And that experience happened when I was really, really small. I was about like 4, maybe 5. I'm not too sure about the age, right? Um, but yeah, and then God, started to reveal to me generational things that were in my bloodline. And so, I ended up finding out, things about my dad's bloodline and things about my mom's bloodline. And incest was definitely a part of that, a lot. Um, so there's a lot of family trauma, a lot of sexual perversion. And one thing I've noticed with my family is that there are a lot of us, I have a lot of cousins, and so there are a lot of us who have dealt with a lot of perversion. And, when me and my cousins were younger, we participated in activities as children that children have no business participating in, right? But like I said, because of these generational curses of what our forefathers did, right? Of what our ancestors engaged in, that stuff only trickled down, right? And so, um, yeah, like, I grew up very, um, I was just somebody who just was timid and shy, and I grew up afraid of a certain kind of men. I hated black men, um, and because of what happened to me. And yeah, it's just a lot of perversion that has went on, and part of me was scared to share this testimony, but I know that God said in His Word that He will restore me, and He will restore the years that the locust has eaten. It's been a hard journey. I've dealt with a lot of um, things in my life because of this perversion that happened to me when I was a kid. I've been in the circles with wrong people, you know, um, and yeah, it's just been a lot that has transpired in my life because of this um, thing that went on and happened to me. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to share some of it because it is possible to be delivered from these things. This world is filled with a lot of lusts and perversions because, you know, people, followed after these gods and these idols that required those things in order to be worshipped. So they required these sexual perversions and these sexual acts in order to be worshipped, right? And God had stipulations in the Bible for His people to stay away from certain nations because of this, because of the things that they practiced, because of the gods that they worshiped, right? But unfortunately, as an Israelite, right, my ancestors, they didn't listen. And so they just kept on, you know, engaging with these other nations that God told them to stay away from. And so this is the result. You got a whole generation that has been bound by all of these lusts and perversions that God did not create, right? But these are the consequences we've had to live with. And so, I've had to face that consequence of, being abused and having all these things happen to me. It wasn't just an isolated incident of what happened when I was younger, around 4 or 5 years old. It was also like, my cousins and the things that they did to me, and the things that we engaged in together. And we normalized those things. We thought those things were normal, and then we all grew up into our own people, but somehow nobody talks about these things. Nobody talks about the things that happened when we were kids. Nobody talks about, the impact on our lives of what took place in our childhoods that was not normal for children to be engaging in, and we didn't have parents that were attentive to us. And so we did these things because we saw it somewhere and we just replicated the acts, right? But this is not how God intended for us to live. But unfortunately, this is the consequences of disobedience and engaging in things God said to stay away from, right? And so yeah, that's just a little bit about my testimony. There's so much more that I can say and that I can share, but yeah, I think this is enough. And so until next time, I pray that you have a blessed week and you stay safe in these end times, okay? Because we are definitely living in the end times, and I just pray you be safe, and you allow the Lord to minister to your heart, minister to your mind, and set you free from any of these things if you can relate to what I've gone through. And so until next time, be blessed.